doing its job.
Boom, boom. Rock out, rock out.
Oh, that's better. That countdown music.
I know we gotta work on that.
I was doing some wavy dance thing.
Yo, my soulmate, but you draining me, blaming me. Should have
I know that voice.
Alcohol, gaming me, baby girl, maybe we.
I don't know if I do.
Take a look, be grateful what we have. We the freshest on the app. These girls want to be you.
You said what?
I don't know if I know the voice.
That's her boo.
Walk past you there, laugh. We used to be in tune, used to listen to my tunes. Love making every room as I provide you with the jewel. Let me find out, boo. I call it time out, cool. Define that rule to be faithful and true. But my phone going off when it's 2:15. Then you start going off like all that do. No trust in yourself and all that prove. You
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. You're muted.
You cursing all
Me?
rude. I you
No.
turn out the door,
Tiffany.
but not that fool.
She's
You
muted.
say that this money is changing me. When you said that my dreams
You're
was
muted.
make-believe.
Press
When
your
the flames
button.
start cooking, your heart got tooken. The soldiers start hitting the page.
He having a
And
good
the
time
days
over there
like,
too.
I know I'm muted.
Oh, I think you were talking to
I
us.
know I'm muted.
now we go our separate
You were
ways.
talking to
Yo,
us. You like,
a man that
you
tried to work it out. Like a
Once I
good
committed to
sweat,
pointing, I was like-
let's account on the good
You're trying to make sure you
times
can-
we, shared together like fouls we could recollect. We gave our best, it didn't work, asked the Lord to bless. We ordered chef will follow next. I shouldn't
Okay,
have to
okay,
step.
okay. I like it, I like it, I like it. I'm a little biased.
We used to build, we used to
Nah, it's what I like it.
I'm a little biased, though.
You know why
What?
she's biased?
Yep, 'cause that's my hubby. Separate Ways by Wooden Soldier. That's my hubby, so I'm biased.
Like she missed you when she twisted you her effing pill. Please call her, know
biased.
she spoil you, feel it's overhill. I'm over.
I got my
All right, all right.
Soldier
Separate
overhill.
ways, separate
I never
ways, separate ways. That was dedicated for our subject tonight. We're going to be talking about divorce. And I think all of us are divorcees, right? Everybody on here? Everybody? Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about divorce, why people choose divorce, why do people choose to stay? What are some benefits to divorce versus staying and vice versa? So we're going to jump right into it because I have a feeling that this is going to be a great conversation. Who's been married one time? You ain't been married, Queen? You ain't been married?
He said one time.
Uh-huh.
He said at least one time.
No, she
No, she
said
didn't
one
say-
time. She didn't
He
say
said
at
one
least.
Okay.
time. He said no.
Good
At least.
job. Good job. She would do good with Simon Says, y'all. She might. She's gonna do good. All right. Okay. If you've been married 2 times,
So if you're in your second one, is that considered 2 times?
yeah.
So 2 times here, 2 times here. I
Okay.
already ran for one, but 2 times.
Okay. If you've been married 3 times.
I was about to say let's start higher and work our way back down.
So
Muted.
okay. All right. So Kashonda and I, we've both been married 3 times. We've been married. And so, I'm just like, am I gonna get it right?
Yes.
I still believe in love. Am I gonna get it right though? Am I gonna get it right?
Everybody gets it right eventually, but marriage isn't for everybody. Some
Hold on,
people-
everybody don't get it right eventually.
That's what I just said. Or
Yeah.
marriage isn't for everybody.
That's
Like
true.
sometimes you may have to say, "Yo, I'm probably just not gonna get married,"
Yeah, I don't
even
know.
if you believe in love, because there are older couples that are just like, "Yeah, we good, we don't have to get married." I've
Mhm.
seen it. They're together, they're life mates, they're soul mates, but they just like we're not getting married. We're not putting a title to it.
I used to be diehard marriage. Even though I never took it seriously.
Get it.
Because I guess I had this idea in my mind of how I just wanted my marriage to be or whatever.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm not really pressed about getting married no more.
It's understandable.
I want to be married. I just haven't made good choices here. And so I like being married. When it's great, it's great. When it's bad, it's horrible. But I like being married. I enjoy it. I like having that commitment to one person. It's just they just didn't work out for very valid reasons.
All right, so I have a question because you said being committed to one person, but you generally live a polyamorous life. How does that work?
So I live the lifestyle of the partner that I am with. So if I'm dating
Got
someone
you.
who's polyamorous, then I can live a polyamorous lifestyle. But if I am dating someone who is monogamous, I can date monogamous. So it just depends on who my partner is at the time. I can do
Okay,
either one.
got you. So
So
basically, just really just committed to the relationship that you're in.
exactly.
Got you. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, go ahead, Dante.
I think I was thinking about we were talking about marriage um
Oh,
and whether people wanted to get married again. Um, where there's I'm open to the idea of just partnership and the commitment, even if it's not through um the legal marriage that you see from like how like Western world does it. Um, I like to make sure like especially because we start talking about poly relationships, you can't like you can only marry one person like in America. So you gotta find some other ways around to be able to give them access to assets and agreements and stuff like that that can still be done. But just even for me, like I think about how much do I even desire to have the government in the middle of it. Um, I, if I can, I'd rather just avoid the government being in the middle of it. Still have the loyalty and commitment. Um, still having something written up. So looking at how we can make sure assets are distributed in ways um, like where there's trust and so on. That's when you start thinking about kids in the future. But when it comes down to it, I'd rather keep government out if I can.
but shoot, to get a little political, the way things are going now, probably gonna be a lot more people not wanting to get married because they don't want to give up that name and what they're doing about women voting and things like that. If that comes to fruition, like it'll be like, look, I'm not changing my ID, I'm not changing my name. We can get married if you want, but I'm not changing my name.
Wait, so what has been happening? I missed
They're basically
I'm lost. What are you talking about?
so they're basically trying to pass something that says if a woman doesn't have the name on her license that's on her birth certificate, they're trying to make it so that she cannot vote.
Oh, the,
Yeah.
Wait, what? So if a woman is non-married or doesn't keep her maiden
If a
name,
woman gets married and doesn't keep her and don't have her maiden name on her license, if her license doesn't match her birth certificate, they're trying to make it to where they can't vote.
and what's the rationale behind that?
Talk to the president. I don't know. Talk to the president.
What?
I would imagine he would be leaning more away from making it strict in that direction as far as the birth certificate part, which does bring up another maybe small subject. How important, if you get in another relationship, I guess it's for the ladies, for you to change your last name? Like, do you care about doing that?
That's a good question because I literally just came across that. On my Facebook, I use my maiden name. But my driver's license still has my married name. And it's because my 2 youngest kids are still minors. And it makes things a lot easier dealing, not having to do the whole name change and explain and all of that.
Yeah.
Just period. But but I recently was just asked, like, why do I still carry his name? So I even made sure, like, on the first book I published, I think I used his name. And so I made the conscious decision going forward, even though I published my first book with his name, I would hyphen it going forward so I could get back to me. But I kept it for my kids. But and I'm not like, and when my kids get, if I'm not remarried by the time my daughter turns 18, I ain't worried about changing it. I mean, unless he changing it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my last marriage, I did not change my last name. I was supposed to, but because the marriage was just so bad for a long time, I never did. When we first started off, I didn't change it because my children were getting certain benefits through their dad, and so having to go back and do and change everything, I didn't want to do that because everything had been set up since they were infants, and I just didn't want to go through the hassle of changing my name. But then he didn't insist on it either.
Yeah.
So
How do you guys feel about? Do you feel like it's a necessity, like in this day and time, to change the last names?
I think women are more independent nowadays, and I don't think, I don't think that men. Well, let me take that back. I don't think men. So let me take that back. I think women are more independent these days, and they've made a name for themselves before they get married. And so, if people know me as Tiffany Brown, and then I get married and I change my name to whatever, then that kind of changes my following, so forth and so on. So if I establish myself as my maiden name, Tiffany Brown, then I want to keep my name. If anything, I would hyphenate it.
So I have a question then, because you can, like, for your likeness and for who you are, you can keep the Tiffany Brown, but you can still be legally whatever his last name is when you change it. Now,
that's true.
I'm not saying I'm for or against it. Like my current wife, like, we have the papers and everything, but we haven't changed her name. Mm-hmm. And like,
it's a hassle.
It is a lot involved.
Y'all don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go through the paperwork and the hassle of everything.
That's a lot, especially when you have kids.
I had a messenger call come in.
Okay, so we just went right off on something completely different. So, Dante, how old are you?
35.
35. Okay, how long have you been divorced?
8 years.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Mm-hmm. What was the circumstance behind you making the decision to divorce without mentioning any names?
Yeah, and that's very important for me not to do that. I like to preserve her name and whatever, all that good stuff. What came to it for me? It was a lack of feeling safe to just didn't feel like a safe space, the relationship. It just didn't.
I have a quick question. Tiffany, is the music still playing? Could I hear the song?
No.
It's just catchy. Maybe it's just catchy and stuck in your head.
No, it's not playing anymore.
Hold on.
It's a weird Monday night, y'all.
Look.
What is going on right now?
Sometimes
Alright.
songs get stuck in my head and then they won't leave.
No, it's
I mean,
playing in my
thank
ear,
you, right?
literally playing in my ear right now.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it left an impression on you.
Yes.
But I can't hear y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's no judgment. So you start dancing, we'll know what song you're dancing to. You're
Right.
like, oh, he's
Exactly.
dancing that one song.
We hear him going, we got his
He's
little
like-
head bob going on.
That was crazy.
All right.
Yeah, it was.
I'm
was,
going to drop off. Can you add me back in?
Sure. We'll think, yeah. You have to pay like
Real
$100
life.
to come back in, but yeah, we got you.
That
All
was
right.
funny.
Okay, so Dante, what was the circumstances around getting divorced versus working it out?
I didn't feel safe to grow, especially the state that was as a man. I didn't feel like the grace to be learning from not having any prior relationship experience was a safe space, and that was like for everything, from when it came to of myself, when it came to directions of careers, when it came directions of just learning from the sense of dealing with leading a relationship. Just did not feel like a safe space, because any form of imperfection, of this not being finished, was not a safe space to communication in a healthy way, to be able to how do I say it, like to be able to
Express
grow
yourself.
and just grow, and just where you can safely do that. Where I gotta be honest, any other space I went into after that was a lot safer, and it should never have been like that.
Wow.
Like that should have been the safest space
Right.
to learn.
Not the opposite.
And I'm telling you, like everything. Like
Well, question though, sorry to interrupt you. How old were y'all though?
I was about to ask that too.
35, about 8 years ago. We were married for about 2 years. We were dating for about 2 years on and off. We were married and we were separated for several months right before the first year. And so I was in my mid
early 20s.
Yeah, like about early 20s, like mid 20s, around that age. It was just, and the thing is, like,
you know, men are not ready for marriage until after 40.
I
but like I was weird
I
though.
disagree.
I was wanting to be married like since I was like every crush I had in grade school. I was like marriage. I wasn't like trying to play the field. I was a sweetheart.
You were
Not
a
me.
sweetheart.
Not me.
I was a sweetheart, but I had no experience. And so, and the sad part is that there was a lot of other women that came across my life during college age. And when how I am now, the wisdom I have now that I didn't have back then, when I compare to what the relationships were like and how those people were wired, just most of the other women that I chose to be around before I met my ex were safer spaces to been able to have grown. Even the relationship didn't go anywhere. It would have been I would have got further along than I did when my past relationship. It just was not a safe space at all.
So then what made you marry her if every experience before that was a safe space?
I didn't. That's a good question. I didn't. For most of those relationships, the women were not going to initiate any sense of behavior, and I knew I needed to grow. And so I didn't try to initiate anything for a large part, partially due to I was trying to grow, and I don't think I picked up on like clues, like subtle clues, and I didn't know if someone was flirting. I didn't really know. I had no experience, no knowledge of anything when it came to that. And so because of that, it was only right at that time when I was like just starting to like, let me try. let me put some kind of effort. She was like the first effort like that tried again at a certain point, and just kept on going. And then the points where I was seeing like, hey, this is probably not a good idea, just she wouldn't stop. Like she was like, I think she knew that she had a good-hearted guy, and when it came to that, I didn't know a lot. She did some areas she didn't know. I think a large part of the community didn't do us good service. I don't know what to say it. They didn't do us a good service because they could have given opportunities to really have some deep conversations in certain ways with me that I needed. And they needed to have some conversations with her in the way that she probably needed. And because
okay.
What community?
I was about to say, yeah, what community? Because I feel like, is there like a religious factor involved here?
Yeah. So I think, so at that time, I think it was, that was a huge part because I think the church, I noticed typically churches would be like 1 to 2 categories. They'll either be really harsh on the men, thinking they're all players, and then try and tell the men, stop being players, or they'll be like really harsh on the women and have them like, they have them just miserable and not being able to feel feminine and feeling shame for sexuality, making feel like they'll just be shameful to women and have them like dressed like nuns, or you'll see like where they're just telling guys stop being players. I see a lot of those dramatics. Sometimes you see a balance, but most times I see extreme. On the sense what I had to deal with more on the regular, it was more like men stop being players, stop doing this, and so it was like this blanket treatment to all men. And so most of the energy was trying to almost like tell them, like almost like as if I was the other men, which were a lot of players. And I was not. I was a sweetheart. I was.
You keep saying that.
I'm telling you, I did not need to be told to be less of a player. I probably needed to be told to be more assertive, put my foot down, and what that looked like really a good description. And no one told me that. But then the other part, the communication, to knowing how to deal with a guy who was like me, and to have that form of patience, especially being so young. I was not a finished product at that age. I'm young. Was never really given grace. It was an expectation to still meet the standard of whatever the men thought was most important. So they thought money was the most important. Then they focused a lot on that. If they thought it was like whatever area they felt the most confident about and saw the lowest thing in you, they would emphasize that. And that was a lot of the times I had interactions with for most of my life, would deal with most men. It's like they feel confident, they start bragging about it. So, well, you need to get like me, and like, and then the areas they feel low confidence in, they want to avoid those conversations because it's insecurities for them.
Did you grow up in a single household with just the mom?
No. My father was in the military. He wasn't around a lot, and so when they divorced, I saw my father be a player. So I don't know the way to say it. Love you, father. You were a player. I don't know the way to say it. I don't think that was your original intent of doing like that, but I think you learn from like seeing other people be players, and not being really loyal to their women and so on, and it's not really valuing, respecting women. So when it came to that, I saw how they made my mother feel. I saw how that hurt her, and so I didn't want the same thing. So I went on the extreme end. So growing up in church, I went into a direction where I just went to extreme end to the point where I wasn't. I didn't know how to communicate a lot of these things that was normal. I didn't know what that balance was. So I just went on a complete extreme and just played it really safe. And so by the time you get to marriage and you played it that way, and you didn't hear all the garbage that a lot of times other men are telling each other and so on, you're left without even the valuable things you could be given.
Yeah, like, you had the fairy tales and the society's view of marriage. You didn't really have a good view of what marriage was and what you needed to know as a husband.
And just the realistic part, not like the realistic part from like if I would run to most guys who were like me when I was younger, I would be telling them, hey, you need to make sure you establish boundaries. You need to make sure you know what those are and those standards. Otherwise, don't engage in a relationship. And put those boundaries up and don't let someone cross them. And make sure you let her know how much you value her, but then as well, you set those boundaries for yourself, so she knows how much you value yourself. And when you have that combination, you'll do a lot better than what I did when I was younger. Where a lot of the other guys,
he acting like he old, y'all. He acting like he's old.
He the youngest one on. He the youngest one on here.
You're right, but we want, and we invited you back because we like having the younger perspective, because we're all of us are over 40, so we wanted a younger perspective, and we appreciate that. So Mike, I know you've been married before.
Yeah.
What was the circumstance over divorcing versus working it out?
All right, so we met in college. I was 18, she was 19. Got married at 24, 25. By then we had our first son. He was born while we were still in college. And so we pretty much grew up together. We were together more than half our lives because we were married 16 years. And, over time, you run into situations and things happen. And as we are now in our late 30s, it's like we're seeing different things and we're going kind of different places. And, we did counseling, we did a lot of things, and we tried to make it work. And it just didn't. And so we decided to separate. And we originally separated saying, let's see where things go. But they just never went back to where we would be together again. And, in the beginning, it was tough. And I wore my wedding ring for like the whole first year of my separation, and not necessarily thinking, oh, we're going to get back together. But it was a part of me for so long. It was just like, I'm not taking it off. And it also, in some instances, was a deterrent, but it was also an attractor too. But it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, I'm married. I could use that as, I don't really feel like talking to you or being out here in the streets. But like I said, we tried counseling, and eventually we just came to the decision that I think it was just time to separate. We grew up together. We kind of grew apart, and we have a good relationship now. Like I said, it was rough in the beginning, but now we have a good relationship with co-parenting, and we communicate a lot more, can be in the same space and things like that. So it just comes with growing up and getting older.
Yeah.
And you don't really see what it is you're going through because you're in it.
Right.
Like if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have done a lot of things different. But
yeah. My first marriage was with my high school sweetheart, and I swore up until probably last year that he was the love of my life. I really did. Because he was really my first everything. He was my first love. He was the first man that my parents let me go on a date with. He was the first guy I was allowed to spend the night with, first guy I was allowed to go out of town with. So he was a lot of first, and he came along in my life after a lot of trauma had happened. And so he was there in the midst of the trauma, me going into foster care, running away from home, going to court, becoming an adult, getting my own place. And, just, he was there through all the trauma. And, at the time it was just like, I didn't appreciate the love that he was giving me because hadn't experienced that healthy kind of love from a male figure, that I should have had by the time I met him. So I was messed up. I did him wrong. I did while we were dating. I was young. I met him when I was 15. I believe he was 17, 18. We got married after high school. And it just, we weren't together a year. weren't together a year. And again, up until last year, I was like, I thought that he was the love of my life because I still had ties with him. And I think, when I talk to my daughter about, those soul ties, the person that you give your body to, yourself to, you have those ties for the rest of your life, especially the person that's your first experience of something healthy.
We need to teach you how to break them soul ties.
Yeah. Well, I broke him, girl. I broke him last year when I looked at him and just was looking at the way he was treating me and not willing to, I was starting to go through the process of getting divorced, and he was just so negative. He didn't want to hear, I made a lot of mistakes in our relationship and our marriage, and he just never let those mistakes go. He always threw them in my face, and it was just, I was always trying to prove myself to him. And I just realized that maybe he wasn't the love of my life. Maybe he was the one that showed me what I needed and what I and the woman that I needed to be for that person that's going to be the love of my life. So yeah, so I don't know. I guess I have that spiritual background that you don't divorce unless it's based on adultery. And so in my first marriage, I was young, but my marriages, I didn't leave and I didn't go for ending the relationship until there was infidelity involved or, something happened. But otherwise than that, I tried to stick in there because I had that spiritual background of, you don't leave a marriage unless it's abusive, otherwise than adultery. So I don't know. My first marriage, I was young. Second marriage, it was abusive. The third marriage, my ex cheated on me almost every year of our marriage. So I had valid reasons. And I still believe and I still want to get married. I still want to have that love that I know that I deserve.
You do deserve that.
You deserve that, yeah.
And you deserve that love.
Yeah, we all do. I don't want to be out here, dating all, and that's not I enjoy being someone's wife and having that dedication, but I'm not going to ever again keep myself in a marriage that is not healthy for me and is not in my best interest.
And you shouldn't.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
What about you, Queen? What was your experiences with your divorce? Divorces.
Let's see. My first husband definitely was a rebound from my high school sweetheart. And I had just joined the Air Force, and I was doing what I thought, grown people supposed to do, get married and had kids or whatever. So I was 19, he was 25. He was a hoe. Let's see. It was it was literally a horrible marriage. It was violent. It was and I yeah, it was violent. It was very violent. Yeah. I left him one day. Like, I came home from work one day and the phone rang and he answered the phone, I answered the phone, but I didn't say nothing. And it was a girl he had been cheating with, and I ain't say nothing. Anyway, he went back to work. My daughter probably was like 3 months old, and he came home from work and I was gone. We were gone. And he didn't hear from me for about a month, and then I found out I was pregnant. I went back. And it just got worse. It was bad. And then 9/11 happened, and that gave me the freedom that I needed to get away. So when I got back from my deployment, I was like a totally fucking different person. And so I had no problem getting rid of him after that. My second marriage, childish. I was 20 something, 24, 23. I don't even remember. But I think I told the story here before. So my first husband, one of the girls he had cheated with, she used to play on my phone. Anyway, she ended up getting married to this guy named Jackson.
Yes.
His last name Jackson. And so Jackson and I both worked together in the hospital. Shout out to my baby daddy. And so long story short, I married Jackson, and me and Jackson had a baby. And,
Scandalous.
and I knew I should not have married Jackson because I didn't truly love him, and I apologize, for not, I take accountability for that. I didn't really love him. It was to get back, like, bitch, who you playing with? Like, you thought you was gonna cheat with my husband, and I wasn't gonna take yours.
Right.
Anyway, so, but we both were in the church because I had turned my life around. Hurricane Katrina happened, and so we separated again, and then we tried to get back together, and it just didn't work because we just wasn't supposed to be. Like, but we good friends, like this, no beef, no animosity. We have a beautiful daughter. My last husband, it was more business. He was business smart, business savvy. I didn't love him. I thought I could grow to love him, but we could do great business together. And that shit just was, it shit still is a, god damn. It's traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in other words, don't make the mistakes that I made.
Please.
Don't marry. Make sure you marry for love.
I mean, but love is not enough, though.
No, it's not. I mean, definitely
It's
make
not
sure you
enough.
together, but make sure you at least love the person.
Yeah, I mean that's good. At least.
At least.
At
And
least.
at least love them.
And
Yeah.
have some type
Love
of
them.
feeling for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't be just marrying me because I'm
That's
smart.
Mike, that's important.
Look,
Don't just marry me because I'm business
don't-
savvy.
Yeah,
don't
business
marry me
savvy.
because
Like,
I was there and I'm about to be. You want to get revenge on the woman that cheated. Be like, hold on, wait, is that you? Yeah, nah, you coming with me.
Right.
oh man,
You took my man?
This is
Okay,
this is
I got
that's
you.
one of the look. Hey Tiff, that's hold my drink.
Right. Right. I thought I got married. The first time I thought that I got married for the right reasons. Again, this was the first like healthy love that I had felt. I felt safe with him. Like, what Dante was speaking of, like I felt safe with him, but that's because he was the first person that hadn't abused me or hadn't abused what our relationship was. And then my second marriage, it was a, I think, transition, a cushion for me. But honestly, the third time I really loved my husband. I really did. I truly loved my ex. And
Did you know if you felt like that your first was still your,
Yeah, so I say that because I felt like, because I know that I had a lot of fault in my first husband's, my relationship, even though.
Time out. Pause real quick. So when you say you had a lot of faults, name some of them faults. Like, I'm just curious because you said that the only way that you would leave was through infidelity. But what were some of the faults that you recognized in yourself then that you had to learn from?
Well, back then I was the type that if I had friends, male or female, you can't tell me who I can be friends with. And so he was already a jealous man because I had cheated on him when we were just dating. And I can admit that I cheated on him like twice.
Not Miss Pot
I
calling the
did.
kettle.
I did. I cheated on, I was 16, 17, 18, girl. Yes, I did. I cheated on him. And so he didn't trust me. He had a reason not to trust me. But when we got married, I didn't cheat on him. But
Okay.
I did not let go of my male friends that I had. And so
You
it
fed
became
into his insecurity.
it fed his insecurity. And even, we even till a year ago, like I said, I had that moment where I was just like, you know what? I thought this was my soulmate. I thought this was supposed to be who the person that got away was.
So
And I
did you
realized
ever think that y'all were going to get back together?
we've talked about getting back together several times throughout the years. Yes. That's why I said up until last year, it was just like, I was transitioning from getting out of my marriage. And, we've always been friends. We've always stayed in contact. Um, you know, he's kept in contact with my family, my parents, my sisters, so forth and so on. So he's always been in my life, but he was ever never able to trust me again, no matter what I did. No matter what I did, no matter no matter what I did, no matter how calculated my moves were, no matter how I tried to be perfect on every single thing, he never trusted me after that. Like never truly trusted me. So yeah, that was my first. And then the second, it was just very abusive. It's very, very abusive marriage. Police were at my house on a consistent basis, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, in every way possible. And then my last marriage, it was every year of our marriage, he cheated on me. So it's like bad marriages. Bad marriage.
I think you good now, though. I think you good. I think you good.
Yeah, I hear growth.
Yeah,
I hear growth. Because the good thing is you say that you can't control what someone else does, but the good part is that I'm hearing someone that was being loyal and faithful or respectful, but also holding themselves accountable what they did to grow from. And I think that's good that I hear those kind of things. Because I think if someone's doing that and they meet someone else who does the same, I think it could make a long lasting relationship.
Yeah. For me, because of all of the trauma I've had as a child going into my early 20s and going, I feel as if, I really had a really misconstrued view of what love was. And it showed in my relationships, but it also showed in my self-worth. I didn't feel like when I did have a healthy love, I didn't feel like I deserved it. And then when I had abusive love, that's what I felt that I was supposed to, that's what I thought I deserved. So until I went through my last marriage, and I was just like, I'm not going to repeat this cycle of letting someone hurt me and just repeatedly do things to me. And it just took a lot. It took a lot. And I wish I would say that I haven't been married 3 times, but I have. But I'm confident that I have grown from every single experience.
Yeah.
Every single experience. I feel like I've grown from that.
So.
Your experiences are what make you who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought about 2 things when you were saying that is oftentimes having the only relationship we really have is with ourselves, and when it comes to the state that you're in, using the people you're encountering is really the way you're viewing your own self.
Right.
One thing I've noticed, especially as I got older, is that I could recognize the expectations someone has for their relationships. And that part there's a lot of women I've seen where the expectations of themselves, of what they thought they deserved for a relationship, what they thought was normal for a relationship. I can see that, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. Like they don't find healthy to be attractive. So I'm like, oh no, I got, or they don't think they're worthy of being with someone who actually respects. So it's like they're not going to see me no matter what I do for them. I can plant little seeds here and there, but I can't. I'm limited on how I can interact because they blocked off the ability because they're only going to get for what they view themselves as and what they suspect. So I think it's great when I'm hearing you make the statements of the value you have for yourself, because I believe that will help you receive the healthy relationships in the future.
Yeah, and I've been able to receive. I definitely have, because I realized that I kept myself in a very unhealthy relationship, in a very unhealthy marriage. I kept myself there when I had several opportunities to leave. And so it's like I had to take accountability for one, opening up doors that maybe should not have been opened. And then two, just being more accepting of things that I wouldn't have normally been accepting of. And so, getting out of that and just, I felt like a failure at first. But then once I realized that I had like given that 1,360%. Like I feel like I had exhausted all possible efforts. Then I was good, and I started loving myself again and taking care of myself again.
Yeah.
So, but as men, how do y'all recover from divorce like we do? I think as women, we're emotional, so we might be emotionally invested much longer than you all. Or is that true?
Not necessarily true. It depends on the person. Like, I'm a gentle giant. Like, yeah, I talk a lot of shit, but I love love, and I love being in love. And my only issue is I just need to reciprocate it. I think in a lot of situations, it's like you're doing X, Y, Z, and it may be appreciated, and you get the thanks and you get the the acknowledgement of it, but reciprocate it. I think reciprocation of love is one of the major things that ruins a lot of relationships. And sometimes you don't. Go ahead. What you about to say?
I saw that finger went up. You saw that finger.
Yeah. What you about to say?
When you say reciprocated, how do you like it reciprocated? Because y'all love languages may be, the love languages may be off. Like you may be like, she's not touching me and loving up on me and rubbing up on me, but she may be making sure you good. Like she got your clothes was washed, you came home, she had your breakfast, she made you lunch, she cooked dinner. Like
love languages is a good way to take it. But when I say reciprocation, I mean like you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but show me that you love me. Don't just say it.
Right.
Love is an action.
So that's what I'm saying.
Love has languages.
How do you want it reciprocated?
Whatever your love language is, however you want to reciprocate. And I'll tell you, like, I need you to do more of this. I need you to do this. Like, I'll tell you. It just depends on what's going on in the relationship. Like, I know I did a lot, and I didn't receive a lot back. And when I say receive a lot back, it could have been just little stuff. I can't really go into like major incidents for other reasons, but just love me back. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're on the private room, so I mean,
and the private room is all over the internet. And
we're just not mentioning no names. And
well, I was in one relationship for 20 years.
Right. So yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Quick question: do you know like your love languages, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
but
I'm kind of a mix of all of them. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
you do realize that your love languages change. So I take it regularly.
Me too.
I do. I
And I
take it
think your
regularly.
love languages also change depending on like in the relationship that you're in. Like
Exactly.
Yep.
you may be overshowering me with gifts, and it's like, okay, yeah, that used to be my love language, but
Right.
goddamn,
Not
like
anymore. Right.
I
But
need you
that's
to.
where, but that's where open and honest and active communication comes
No,
in because
absolutely,
there
absolutely,
there were times where it's like, you don't do this enough, and then when you start doing it, it's like, yeah, I feel like you're doing it too much. Can you scale it back a little bit?
right.
Mhm.
So then it's like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. What do you want? What do you want me to do? You want me to do it? You don't want me to do it? Like, what the hell?
So what do
About
y'all think?
balance.
What do y'all think about the spiritual aspect of divorce? That divorce is only supposed to be meant for those who commit, there's only because of infidelity and now abuse, because abuse is being acknowledged.
Who spiritual aspect? Who?
Well,
Who
in
said
in
that?
in some in the Bible for New
Oh,
World Translation, I guess. There's different
oh.
beliefs, there's different religious beliefs, but overall the
I don't
overall
practice that religion, so I don't have no comment.
That's great.
okay. So but for some religions, that is the only reason for divorce. In the religion I was raised in, which I will not speak, and I'm not going to mention what it is, but I was raised that the only reason for divorce is because of adultery. So, like, even with my ex, if I forgave him this time, I would have to wait for him, basically, and it was bad because I
So
knew it was coming.
if
I would
we
have to
went
wait
with
for
the
the cheating
biblical
game so you have
pretense,
opportunity.
every time that I got divorced, I was justified.
I feel I was too.
No, I mean, like, if we're going with if the only reason for divorce is that, then I'm definitely justified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would still be married.
You would
If
still
that-
be married
I would
if
still be
if
married.
you took that off
Neither of
the table?
us, from my knowledge, she didn't cheat. I know I
Right.
didn't cheat. I'm glad she's happily married. She got kids. I'm assuming she's happily married. She got kids and stuff now. But my viewpoints on it is that I think it's really important for people to get the right foundation and do the work, like in the marriage. And I think if you have a certain level of maturity and good foundation, it's almost like I feel like the more you have that levelness of being whole as needed, I think it's really hard to probably have divorce if you really got the right foundation right. And it's not perfection in both people, but I doubt I'll be getting divorced again in a relationship because I know certain things I'm going to do different that I did not do. That took a lot of time to grow in those areas.
Okay.
I can't control other people, but I'm pretty confident on the difference it'll be just from the amount. I took a lot of time to do the work.
Okay. So you're saying that you won't get divorced again. And so what would you do differently to avoid getting divorced again?
First of all, like setting a standard. What you say?
What did you say, Mike?
No, I knew it
I'm
was
going
good.
to jail.
You say going to jail?
I'm going to jail. No, I'm playing. I don't
I'm
plan on
telling
getting
you
divorced
now,
again. But
I'm
I'm sorry,
not.
Dante. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dante.
No, you're fine.
What would you do differently to avoid divorce if you got married again?
Real big part is setting up standard, making sure I really know the person, make sure they know me, because I feel like I don't think I was really known from my ex. There's some certain times where ask certain questions would be a blank as far as knowing me, but I was able to understand really well. And I think that's part of making sure proper communication is done. Because for one thing, I studied really well when it came to just people. Whereas some people you need to just straight out tell them. You say, "Hey, this is what I need," yada yada, blase blase. You gotta be direct. And I wasn't direct in those kind of ways. And so usually for me now, most women know very quickly of what I'm looking for as far as my goals, what things of how I was in the past, how I'm not going to be in the future, what I refuse to deal with in the future. So it's not a lot of, it's like very quickly they can see like, oh, they either back up or like, oh, I like that, and so they start coming in closer, or they just run away, and it's not hard from just even I'm already see like how the disconnect or the closeness comes from just the understanding what direction I want to go in, and say, hey, this is where I'm gonna go. This is how it's going to be for the relationship. Anybody with me? And I find that that's so important. Like, I think if men are really leading the relationships right, it'd be a lot better place. But I think a lot of us have not known what to do. Been told a lot of garbage, and it makes it a rocky relationship when it should be him presenting a standard. That's the biggest thing, and making sure that's always accountable from there. Now, I can't choose whether or not someone continues to be running that path, but you should be able to see that over time with character. Yeah.
Mike, for you, because I know that you're remarried now, what are you doing to avoid divorce again?
So honestly, like a lot of things went unsaid in my first marriage. Like, I would hold on to a lot of stuff. I would let stuff fester. Wouldn't communicate. I just didn't like. I'm not one for conflict. I'm not one to argue, and so I would just not say stuff with thinking that it may be an argument. And I learned that you won't know until you have the conversation.
Right.
And so, like, in my current situation, like in my current marriage, it's like I don't hold anything in. I don't hold anything back. Like, if I have something I want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. And I'm not going to let it fester. I'm going to bring it up. We're going to have a conversation. And we just communicate. Like, we communicate with each other. We know what's going on. We know where each other is. You know, it's open and honest communication, to be honest with you. I think that's the major start to having a healthy relationship, and just really, you know, trying to trust and have trust in each other.
I agree with that. I think that's important.
Yeah. What about you, Queen? Do you think you'll get married again?
Hell no. No.
Stop it. Let her answer. At least.
No.
No.
Funny. That was funny.
I'm not taking it off the table.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I want what I want, and if I can't have what I want, then I'm good.
You know,
I'm good.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, like, and I
think
probably
we should know what we want.
According to my cards, I'll probably have a partnership sometime later on down the line in life, long time partner. Who knows, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think sometimes the paperwork is overrated.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm really not big on the paperwork now, because the relationship I just was in, like, if I was married and had to, like, that shit would have been
deal with all of that paperwork. It would have been a headache.
Yeah.
You would have been like, this shit is for the birds, for real.
Yeah, exactly. But and so, I mean, like, even in my third marriage, honestly, we got divorced and then had a baby. So in my mind, it was just like, you know what? I love him. We got these issues. Let's get divorced. That way, if it don't work, we can go our separate ways. But, you know,
What?
if it does work, we good.
Just in case, let's get divorced. Just in case.
Just in case. All right, look, we gonna do
Not
is
stay together.
we gonna
Just
get
in
divorced,
case.
but we gonna have
Let's
this
get
baby,
divorced just in
right?
case.
And let's just stay friends.
And you
know,
know what?
Let's divorce and work on our marriage. That's
Now that I think about it, I did that to my first husband. I did.
like, let's divorce and work on our marriage.
You just had a Macaulay Culkin moment.
I did, because I started the process, and he got the papers, and he was like, "Do you really want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to do this." And if we find ourselves way back to each other, we just get married again. That's what I told him.
Exactly. I just knew. Okay, what it was is that you know how that it wasn't physically abusive, it was more emotionally and financially abusive. But I knew I needed to get out of the marriage, even though I still loved him. And it was like we got this kid together, we got a son together, and it was like but and then it was like, but I gotta get out of this. I gotta get out of this. I got to get out of this.
Are we talking about the first, second, or the third?
The third.
Okay, go ahead.
It's like I gotta get out. I gotta get out. And so when we got divorced, it was like, but you know, we were still raising our son and our other kids together, or my other kids and his daughter. So it was just like we still was a family. And then I wanted another kid. I didn't want another baby daddy. And then he was like, well, I'm going to have a vasectomy. And he was like, well, let's try. And I was like, okay. And then we got Journey. And, you know, she's almost 12. So it was meant to be for her. You know, she was destined to be here.
So you divorced him to make sure that you're divorced. And then you had another baby with him to make sure you didn't have a new baby.
Before he cut it off. She said, "Look, I'm gonna be your last. This gonna be your last."
Wow.
I mean,
you ain't splitting up this child support money.
It was destined because
you're gonna
we tried. He got snipped like a few days later, and 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh Lord.
Wow.
So
I ain't sharing child support money.
Just put it in one check.
One check.
So, and you know what? The crazy thing is, that was part of our 4-year battle, was the whole custody and him not wanting to pay child support. And then last year, I just developed that really I don't give a fuck attitude. I just don't care no more. My kids are older. I'm tired of fighting with you. I just want to move on with life. Dude, keep your money. You don't want to take care of your kids. Fine. They old enough to ask you for whatever it is they want. Our son about to be, 15 years old. I dropped it. I said, if I drop the child support, will you drop the custody? And he said, yeah. And so, we've been co-parenting ever since.
Look at that smile. Look at it. Look at
it. Another lesson. Be careful who you have kids with. And I'm poking y'all in the forehead if you can't feel it.
I always been very mindful of that.
We gotta yes, please. You gotta think about who you lay down with, and you give your seed to do, because that's the person you gotta deal with for the rest of your life.
Because he tried
to don't stop when they turn 18.
He tried to be mad cool with me now. Like yesterday, he asked. He had my son call, and he is like, Journey, ask your mom, do y'all want to go to breakfast? Fuck no. I don't go to fucking breakfast with you.
You could take the kids. Just bring me something home.
You better get that free breakfast.
Right.
I don't want to look at you.
I tolerate you.
Give me my pancake.
Adult meal.
I don't think. And that's the thing. Like, he's totally oblivious to the last of the trauma he's taking me through, and it's
he's trying to slide back in. It's like,
did you forget? Like, I can't 70. I owe 10. That's like 80. That's my coffee shop, dude. What the fuck?
All right, Queen. So, get married again or no?
Didn't you just hear what I said?
She said, "Hell no."
She said, "Hell no."
Nah, she said she's not gonna dismiss it. She wouldn't dismiss it, but she wants what she wants. So it's like a yes, but
it has. I have to have all of this in order to do it.
And the right man will be like, they'll be like, "What you need?" They'll be like, "Oh, we need that. Okay."
You gotta be careful about giving them lists though, because some men
No,
will
it's
take
not
off
even
the
going to be
list
a what you need.
change
It's
up.
going
Not
to
a
be.
list.
It's not even going to be a what you need. It's going to be like, babe, how's your day? I'm like, you know what? My day was great, but or I'm trying to get this soil for my yard so I can get this, my garden done. 2 days later, here come the soil arriving. I ain't had to say nothing, but this is something that I need to do. And he just came and he took the weight off my shoulder. Like, I heard,
Wouldn't that be so nice?
Not even, I had to say, babe, can you get this for me? Or do you mind helping me? Just, you know what? Hurry. Or, hey, you know what? Let me take my woman car to get it cleaned and her oil change done weekly. Not oil change
Yeah,
weekly, but cleaned out weekly.
So
But
please don't do it weekly. Please
I
don't.
mean,
my
yeah,
wife calls me.
that
My
disclaimer
wife
for
calls
women
me
who don't
sneaky.
know.
My wife calls me sneaky because we'll just have conversations, and then all of a sudden shit will just start showing up at the house.
Right. Or like y'all
Good
out
man,
and
good
about
man.
and you saw what she was looking at online. Like you walk by and you start,
Yes.
Oh, I
Like,
see it.
you
Oh
know.
no, I see it in the like we be out in the store sometimes, and I'll be like, all right, cool. All right, babe, I gotta go out and make a run real quick. I'll
Right.
go back to that store.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Mikey.
And
being sweet.
but most important for me, honestly, I gotta fucking feel safe.
You're not asking for too much. You're not. So far, that's
And
That's for a
probably-
whole
that's not
damn
too much
lot. Now I'm
to
playing.
ask.
you just want a man.
If I don't feel
you
safe,
you want a masculine man.
I want a masculine man, but he has to be a gentleman. At the
Just a
same
giant.
time.
I'm just tired of wearing the pants. I just want a man
Yes.
that could just come in and just be the man of the house and let me be the submissive wife.
And
That
I
is
don't
what
want a weak man. Like I get I'm mouthy. I get I'm mouthy. I get
I am
it.
too.
But
But I can be
God
submissive
damn
to
it,
you.
for 45 years, it's just been me taking care of me. Like, and not me, but the whole responsibility. Like, people forget that, yeah, I got 6 kids and y'all want to look at me like, motherfucker, I ain't never been on Section 8. I ain't been on fucking welfare. I got a fucking degree, a master's degree, and a 6-figure paying job. Don't come for me. Like, I had to make sure my kids was straight. Like, so I've been out here hustling and grinding. Even though I made the dumb decisions, I made sure my kids were going to be good. I still make sure my kids are good. I make sure my grandbaby is good. Her ass over here sleep now, So it's like, I know what I do for me. And niggas always like, oh, excuse me. Men are always like, what do you bring to the table? Nigga, I built my own table. What can you add to my table? What can we put our tables together? Can you put your table alongside my table and we do something collectively? I'm not rebuilding. I already got a table over here.
You want my opinion about if a guy asks that question of like what you bring to the table? If a man asks me what do I bring to the table, I already know he's just
not
cut
funny.
him out.
I already know, but I'm just saying in general.
I was about to say the same thing. Like,
in that
don't ask me that
conversation,
question. You should
know
already
who
know.
I know
She's
who
a
I
woman.
am. I know my worth. I know the dumb decisions I made. I did therapy. I've done the work. I'm still in. I'm back in therapy because life be life, and But I'm committed to growing every day. I'm committed to being better every day. And I need that man to have the same commitment. I need him to know that every day isn't a bed of roses, but as much as I've worked on being healed, I need you to be as healed. Like, I understand nobody's ever totally healed, but nigga have some progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need you to have some goals. I need you to be the head of the house. I need for you to, love our family and just make me a priority. I feel like the last 10 years of my life, I have not felt like a priority to anybody. And I just want to feel like I'm a priority to somebody. If you show me that I'm a priority to you, you have my dedication, you have my loyalty, you have everything. But I just
that's been a big thing, is the loyalty piece. And that's important to me. That's important to be feeling safe, to be able to communicate with you. And I'm gonna be honest, I've said this before, but you have to love me differently. I'm not your average woman. I've been through a lot. So you have to love me differently, and it's nice.
I'm like that what is in Beauty and the Beast, you know, they had the rose, right? That was in, you know, Super Fragile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the glass rose. Handle me with care.
Yeah.
Like, don't drop me. I've been through enough. Like, handle me with care. I don't feel like that's asking too much. I literally told my therapist that today, like, yo, I feel like, I hate to say it, I'm in my selfish era. Like, I've forever been taking care of everybody else. Like, I gotta
Just
take care of me.
Take care of me for a change.
Yeah.
What if they're clumsy?
That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. That clumsy, unhealed, want to spill, you know, you I almost said something.
This was a good conversation. All of us are divorcees, and we've all talked about, you know, what were the circumstances for us choosing to get divorced. And there was a couple of different reasons, and it wasn't just infidelity. It was more like we grew apart, we grew up, and our interests weren't the same. You know, that was my first real relationship, and now I'm maturing and learning what I need and so forth. We talked about communication. Like, it's really important for you to communicate what you want and what you need in your relationship. And that might have been the reason why past relationships might not have worked, because we weren't being honest with the people that we were, and probably weren't honest with ourselves at the moment, to be honest. You know?
Yeah, true. Maybe.
So it sounds like, you know, with Dante, he was young. I was young. I married my high school sweetheart. He married young, not having a whole lot of experiences, you know, going through abusive relationships, growing up in abusive relationships. So there's so many reasons why people get divorced these days.
Yeah.
You know, Tiffany, I just told my therapist last week that I think that my high school sweetheart is the person that I should have been with. I should have stayed with. Like, I think my mom and the things that happened at that time really changed the trajectory of my whole life. Like, yeah.
Well,
does your high school sweetheart have to go to your high school? Because my high school sweetheart, she didn't go to my high school.
That's funny.
Mine didn't go to mine because when we started dating, he was out of high school. So
that's not your high school sweetheart.
Right. So I would say
so technically he wasn't my high school sweetheart because we didn't go to the same high school.
Right.
I call him that because it sounds good.
No, I'm just teasing.
No, I don't think you have to go from the same school.
I don't think so.
Yeah. You were in high school. Like, that's who your sweetheart was when you were in high school.
It's like a prom date. You know, the prom date doesn't have to go to your school. You know?
That's true.
Right.
That's true. As long as they get that ticket, they get that ticket.
A girl broke up with me because I told her she wasn't going to my prom because I had made a deal with one of my close friends that we were going to the prom together. And so senior year, so I'm a senior, she's a sophomore, and the person I was going to the prom with was in my class. She was a senior also. So we already said, yo, freshman year, we going to the prom together. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, no, we ain't going to the prom. She ended up going to the prom with one of my boys because she broke up with me and went to the prom with one of my boys at another school.
As she should have.
It's cool. I dodged the crazy bullet.
You may have, but you were out of line to say that because of that you made when you was a
17,
freshman.
Hey, look, I was
That
13.
like
Cool.
yo, I told this girl when we
I
was freshmen.
respect it.
I
But if
know.
that was your girl, then you know.
I
I would have
respect
went out with your boy.
I was
your boy.
in high
the
school.
quote unquote man of my word. But let's be for real, Mike.
All the old men should have told you better. Like, no, you can't do that.
Your daddy should have said, son.
I think my senior year, my dad was in jail.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
I think senior year he was in and out. He was in and out. So like I had father figures, but
okay, well, one of them should have stepped up and said, Mike, that was a 3.5-year-old commitment. Some dumb shit you said when you was 13, 14. You ain't know no better.
Right.
I didn't tell him, but me and the guy went to the prom.
Probably hadn't even smelled it yet.
Huh?
I said you probably hadn't even smelled it yet.
That's a story for another show. Listen, from 13 up until it was, yeah.
You know what, Mike? I believe it because my baby boy is 14, and I know he ain't no virgin.
When I was 13.
What you looking around for, Tiffany?
Yo, even as adults, like years ago, I told my first that she was my first, and she stood it and believed me.
So you told your first that she was your first, and your first didn't believe that she was your first?
Mm-hmm. And she was 4 years older than me.
Mm.
Oh. Wow.
That's
so
better than
you.
That's not an insult. That's a.
It's not, but we're
gonna say this for the Earn Your Wings tour. We're gonna say this for the Earn.
No, that's not any trauma. It's not no trauma. That's no abuse. That's no trauma.
Please, no.
Save it for the tour. Hold up,
no,
wait, no, this ain't that kind of tour.
Yes.
The comments of Queens Rising is not the comments of the private room.
This will be not the private. This will be not the private room. This will be the private convo. I'll call you later.
We're gonna talk about this, Mike.
We can do it on the drive down to South Carolina.
Oh, this is a long story then.
Yes. You hear it? We're gonna pick this up.
Oh,
it's not a long.
Is that needle for locks?
It's not a long story, but it is interesting.
That we are planning a June 14th live.
I love this dance
in the Charlotte area. So we're gonna be live and in person. So get y'all sexy outfits ready. We don't have a theme yet. So if you have a theme, this is our 3-year anniversary. So if you have a theme, an idea for what our 3-year anniversary, what we should talk about, what we should dress up as, all that good stuff.
We should make it.
I think we should do a masquerade.
We should make it a Venus versus Mars show.
Ooh.
Like topics that we see different. We don't see eye to eye on.
But then are we gonna ever get anywhere?
Good point.
We can. It's not one of those things where we're gonna be arguing. It's just, what's your point of view and what's my point of view? Maybe. I don't know.
We mature adults
here. Ideas for our live. What should we talk about for our next live? June 14th. We're planning for it. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. Don't ask. We don't have a venue yet. That's the day, June 14th. What are we talking about? What are we going to talk about? Something scandalous. Something real hot. Something hot and heavy for in-person conversation. Because the last one was real hot, y'all, in Atlanta.
What was
our topic in Atlanta? I forgot.
All I know is I got spanked. That's all I know.
I remember that too, man.
Yeah,
Dominique Ryder, hi girl, hey.
that was a very it was very interesting. That was a very interesting show. That was a very, very interesting show.
It was.
It got heated too a little bit.
It did.
Because nobody didn't want to stand down, like she said.
It did. It did. So I'm looking forward to this next one. Our 3-year anniversary. Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, y'all. It's the
Hey,
private.
yo, and whoever comes up with the best topic, y'all get to have dinner with us after the show.
Oh, so it's not. So we not choosing the topic. We gonna choose the topic from somebody else. Gotcha.
If they send them in.
What?
Y'all got to send your topics in. What we gonna talk about live and in person in Charlotte, North Carolina? What are we gonna talk about, y'all?
What's the deadline?
And if we choose your topic, we'll invite you to be on the show.
Yep. Y'all gonna be on the show with us June 14th. What we gonna talk about? What we gonna talk about? What we gonna talk about?
Let us know.
You gotta
All right, everybody.
Create the poster. Put it up.
I will. June 14th. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Deuces.
Divorce is not always the option. I'm just gonna put that in there.
Married for love. Be careful who you have kids with.
Bye, Felicia.
Divorce is not always the option. There is arbitration, mediation,
Counseling,
all that. We love y'all.
Yeah, I don't have an afterthought. I love y'all.
Yeah, clap. Wooden Soldier, John Storm, back at it. Yeah, we in the building, man. Okay. And let's go. It would begin in the spring, 78 on a Wednesday, watching you gleam. You with your friends and I noticed the ring. I pull over with a rose like, baby, you queen. I suppose by the weekend I'm having you screaming, man, in your dream, and it seems so unreal.